Ah, doors. We all know him. Who would have thought that these things could be made?
I'm gonna stop you right there. This is the third time you've used this gag in a video. Come up with some new material, dude.
Wait, Butter? Why are you here?
I'm here to tell you that your jokes are freaking awful. I saw your other videos and my gosh, it was just... Why? Why would you subject anyone to this kind of humour?
I don't know. I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah. First it was the skeleton with the trumpet. Then it was the blue lobster. Hilarious. What's behind this one?
Wait, no, don't open that.
Hold on. Let me guess. It's gonna be Mr. Beast, right?
Actually,
It's totally Mr. Beast. Hey viewer, check this out.
So... when do we tell him that the door I was using is over there?
Mr. Beast!
That's right everyone, the new Doors update has finally released. I've been super excited for this for a long time now. This game has been the very reason I still consider Roblox a decent game engine choice. And they're telling me they're going to make this even better? Hell yeah, I'm in! I streamed to myself playing the update for the first time, and it was a lot of fun. That is cool. That is cool. Ha ha ha. L. What? Huh? A whole bunch of awesome stuff happened, like this run where I found a crucifix, used it, and then immediately found another crucifix afterwards. Sounds real. No way! No! Shut up. Shut up. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about how this update has taken the game to another level of amazing. In case you haven't seen my first Doors video, there's a card in the top right of your screen which should take you to it. You can check it out now if you'd like, but you should be able to understand what I'm saying regardless of whether you've seen it or not. There are a few things I want to cover in this video, those things being Dupe, the Jeff Shop, Crucifix and Skull Key, the Greenhouse, and good old door 100. There are timestamps if you'd like to skip to a specific part. I know a lot of you are eager to see what I think of the new door 100 sequence after I expressed my dislike for the original, but if you decide you want to stick around and see all that I have to say, you're more than welcome to do so. Give me watch time. Also note that there will be spoilers, so if you haven't played the update, literally what are you doing? Link is in the description, go play it. Alright, we've wasted enough time. Let's begin.
Please just help me.
There's a single new hostile entity in this update. Sorta. I'll talk more about that later. I'm pretty sure the Doors devs saw all these YouTubers who knew nothing about the game go,
it's like a multiple choice. You're supposed to pick the correct doors, and if you don't, you get killed by monsters and stuff.
and went, hey, that's actually not a half bad idea. When you enter a room, there's a chance you'll see multiple exit doors. Don't be fooled, there's still only one door you can go through. The only problem is, well, how do you tell which one? Well, I hope you are paying attention, because you'll need to recall the door number on the door you just entered. You can go back and check if you want, but chances are they've all been scrubbed. You're on your own to figure out which of these doors is the correct one, and if you fail to do so, well...
I am in immense pain right now.
Luckily, Dupe isn't all too hard to counter. There are a few tactics you can use to determine if he's there or not. The first one is the obvious one, just know how to count. If you remember the number of the room you were last in, you can easily determine which door is the correct one. If not, don't worry. There's still a small chance you can catch it before it's scrubbed, though the further you get in, the faster it fades. That's not to say all hope is lost though. If you get close, but not too close, to one of the counterfeit doors, you'll be able to hear Dupe making a bit of noise. You'll need to pay a lot of attention to hear it, and remember not to run right up to the door, because Dupe will not pass up the chance to take a bite out of you. A similar tactic is listening out for rain. If you're lucky and the the next room happens to have windows of some kind, you'll be able to hear the rain as you approach the correct door. There's one more tactic, but it only works if the doors in your room are locked. You see, the keys still have their numbers. Look for a match for the key and you're good to go. I'm not sure if the developers intended this one or if it was just an oversight, but as of right now it's a useful trick, so I'm keeping it in here. Possibly one of the best things about Dupe is that you often don't know that they're coming until they're already a threat. This forces you to pay attention to where you're headed even when Dupe isn't around, which is something Screech also does pretty well, but we're not here to talk about them. Dupe is also really good at catching you off guard should you not be paying attention. Again, Screech does this too, but I'm not here to talk about Screech. Maybe I should though, because I did in the last video and there's a lot to unpack there. I'd say Dupe is a welcome addition to the roster, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys have to say.
This one is horrible. 0 stars.
Speaking of new entities, there's a few more friendly ones added in this update. These being El Goblino, definitely said that wrong, Bob, and Jeff. El Goblino provides some funny dialogue and is apparently responsible for a lot of the unexplained ambient sounds like scuttling and knocking. Bob and Jeff happens to run a little shop. Jeff will have 4 random items stocked, and once it's brought, that's it. No more. There's also a little tip jar which you can fill up. Getting it completely full will give Jeff enough money to go to college. This midway point is not only a nice breather after the tense room 50, which hasn't changed a bit by the way, but also serves as a way of replenishing some of the player's items or giving them access to items they may never come across otherwise, like the Crucifix and the Skull Key. More on those in a bit. It also gives a bit more use to the gold mechanic. Previously it just gave you knobs to spend on the pre-run shop. Now you have the choice of either getting an item during your current run or keeping the change to use on items in your next run. This update also introduces a few new items, 2 of them being standouts in particular. The first is the Skull Key. This is the only key able to open the skeleton doors found in the hotel, and presumably in later parts of the game yet to be released. There are 2 appearances of the skeleton door, though I won't be talking much about the one that appears around room 60. Instead, I want to focus on the infirmary room. This is a room that is guaranteed to spawn every run, so your key won't be going to waste. Behind the skeleton door, you'll find a heck of a lot of money, some drawers, and a painting. But the real attraction is the green herb, an item that grants the player the game's first status effect. This is a passive healing effect that will remain on the player so long as they don't die. This is a neat little addition to the game, and one that I think does the skeleton key justice. The second of these 2 items is the Crucifix. The Crucifix is a rather unique item in just about every way. If you hold out the item and point it towards an entity as they're attacking or hunting you, you'll trap them, and in most cases, kill them. Oh! Oh! The developers didn't cheap out on this either. You get a whole animation sequence which is different for almost every entity.
What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Huh? What do you want? That's right. Why are you T-posing?
Aside from buying it at Jeff's shop, you can also find the Crucifix lying around the place. Well, not really lying around the place. It's still possible to find it in a drawer or chest, but they also appear as decorations hiding in plain sight. This means that they're easy to miss, but a keen eye can help you get your hands on one.
Ah, yes, let's go. I didn't need to buy one.
The greenhouse is a new subsection of the hotel found between doors 90 and 99. This area is unique in that it has absolutely no lights, but can still spawn entities like Rush and the Eyes. And of course, because it's dark, Screech is here. But wait, there's more! You remember how I said earlier that there was a single new threatening entity added to the game? Yeah, I lied. There's another. Well, kind of. I don't think I'd count snares as an entity myself, but people seem to be doing it, so I guess I will too. These guys can only be found in the greenhouse. You need to watch your step, as standing on one will cause it to impale your foot and leave you stuck for a few seconds. You can't die to it, but that doesn't mean it isn't a threat. What? 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 Huh? What was happening? Remember, you still have other entities around you, like Rush. Oh, yeah, Rush spawns here too. There aren't any lights that can flicker here, so you're forced to rely on sound to determine whether or not Rush is coming. And Rush doesn't immediately spawn anymore, so you'll need to take your time moving from closet to closet in order to avoid Rush catching up to you. And while all that is happening, the eyes and Screech are there to mess with you even more. This is a great test of the player's skills, and while a lot of people aren't fans of this area, I personally think it's pretty neat. A bit dragged out? Maybe. But I don't consider it to be a poorly designed segment like I did Door 100, which I'll get to in a bit because I have a lot to say there. The greenhouse forces the player to take their time and watch their step, things which players probably haven't done much, all while facing entities they've been warding off the entire game plus a few new ones. Players are going to have to relearn what they know about the entities if they want to get past this one. Before we get to Door 100, I want to do a quickfire round of a few changes I thought were noteworthy, but not worth an entire segment. Honorable mentions, if you will. Ambush can now spawn either ahead of the player or behind them, making them an extra dangerous force to mess with. Ambush also now announces their arrival via sound rather than flickering lights, setting them apart from their sister entity Rush a bit more, and making them a bit more challenging in the process. Heading downstairs during Door 100, yes, we'll get to that, I swear, will bring you to a strange room. In the middle of it, you can find a rift, where you can store any item you currently have on you for a later run. We don't know if this transfers between floors yet, but it will be pretty neat if it did. The animations are looking cleaner than ever. That's all I really have to say about that one. These look great. There are even more rooms and set pieces in the game now. This just helps to keep things fresh and interesting. You've even got some references to YouTubers in the paintings now. Splash, where is mine? With entities like Halt, or even just the death screen, you'll now see an icon with or instead of the text on the screen. This helps to convey messages like "you died" and "turn around" better to a wider audience who may not speak strictly English. Plus, people recognize images a lot faster than words, so this definitely helps with entities like Halt. Candles are a new light source that have a bit of a unique twist. They'll go out whenever an entity is nearby. This is especially useful against entities like Screech. Did you know Screech's whisper sound actually has nothing to do with when he appears? It's actually telling you he's been following you for a while and is about to attack. When he first shows up, he's completely silent, so having a candle to tell you he's there means you can get rid of him before he's a problem. It's also a great tool for the greenhouse as it goes out when Rush is on his way. You're now able to find these small closet-like rooms, which often contain drawers, hiding spots, or sometimes even these little chests. Some chests can be opened right away, but others require a lockpick to break through its lock. Inside, you'll find plenty of cash, and possibly even an item or two to aid you on your journey. This is a neat little way to add a bit more variety and give explorative players a reward for their curiosity.
Open the chest? You... Oh! Of course you can open the chest. It's a chest!
You know, one of my biggest hopes with my first video was that one of the Doors developers would see my critiques on Door 100 and use it to make a better Door 100, and, well, wouldn't you know it, they actually did. Splash reached out to me via Twitter and let us know that the team had seen my video and taken aboard the feedback I had given them. After receiving this message and wishing the devs good luck, I was literally dying to see what they had come up with. My funeral is in a week, by the way. And after I bested the greenhouse, I was enlightened to find out that, well, there was something very different about this segment. And when I say different, I mean it in the best way possible. The sequence opens by walking you through a long, poorly lit corridor. Along this corridor, you'll notice these gates blocking off other areas of the room, as well as a few hiding spots. At the end of the corridor, you'll find this spacious room, as well as two oh so familiar doors. Small thing I want to note, you can actually lockpick this door now. This wasn't possible before, but now it is, as there's more to collect than just the key. More on that later. Opening the other door will start the final sequence, and oh my god, this is just so good. The figure comes out with a slick new animation. Wow, he looks really pissed off. Those gates from before open up and the chase begins. Like in the original final room, you can hide from the figure, do the heartbeat minigame, and be well on your way. But it's now also possible to throw the figure off your scent, opening up your options a bit. Once you've lost the figure, you'll want to look for these switch modules. There are about 10 of them and they seem to spawn in groups. If you're having trouble finding them, Guiding Light is there to help, and will illuminate these items for you after some time has passed. Until then though, you're in the dark. literally. Not only is the figure actually a threat now, but you're in a much smaller area than before and have very little in the way of environmental lighting. This takes what the player knows about the figure's behavior and adds an extra layer of challenge. You might have been able to best it in the library, but now you've got to do it again in the dark. Compared to the figure not being there at all, this is a massive quality leap, but even after you've collected all 10 of these modules, you've still got work to do. Take these modules to the power room and you'll get the power going again. As a result of some very much not work-safe wiring, the figure finds themselves on fire and in a panic, literally jumps out a window. Bye! You're safe. For now. This gives you time to do the breaker puzzle from the original Door 100, which too has seen some improvements. The game starts off slower and gradually speeds up, and the final sequence really puts you to the test by forcing you to recall what numbers you've already seen to figure out what the last digit is supposed to be. Or you can do what everyone else does and just guess. Once all that's done, you'll find the figure has made its way back into the building and is now pounding on the door behind you. This results in one final mad dash to the elevator, reach the elevator, and your journey is over. Fail to do so, and well, we all know what happens then. This made me so happy to see. The developers have taken everything that worked from the original sequence and built upon it in a way that not only complements the figure's abilities, but also forces players to take on the figure under totally new circumstances. You could argue that reusing the scavenger hunt aspect is lazy or something, but the thing is, it works really well. Hell, I'd even go as far as to say that this was done better than the library's collectathon sequence, which I praised in my first video for being a great way of utilizing the figure's abilities. This is easily my second favorite part of the game now. The first is Jeff, I love him. Well, I can't really think of anything else to talk about. I guess that's it. You know, I feel like they were really hyping up this update, but maybe a bit too much. I mean, don't get me wrong, what we have here is good, but... Hey, devs, I thought you said we weren't getting another floor in this update. This is basically another floor. And, wait, no, I can't be reading this right. 1,000 doors? What are you, insane? Well, I guess there are only 3 entities. Can't be that bad, right? It's that bad. The rooms is probably one of the best homages to a game's inspiration I think I've ever seen. These guys basically remade rooms. Like, you have the same rooms, the same funky glowing flashlight, and of course, even more entities. But don't think that this is easy. After all, there are 1,000 doors here. Yeah, sure, you can leave a bit after 200, but if you're really feeling up to the challenge, you can go all the way, baby. In order to access the rooms, you need to use 2 lockpicks and a skeleton key on a room hidden somewhere around door 60. This area is also gated off, so you'll need to go into the next room and find the lever to get in. Once you're in, everyone is brought into the rooms for a bit of a detour. The 3 entities you'll encounter are A60, A90, and A120. Okay, surely there's a better naming system than this. These 3 entities are deceptively simple. A60 behaves like Rush, A120 is more like Ambush as it can bounce back and forth if it so desires, and A90 is unique in the fact that it will instead force you to stop moving entirely to avoid taking any damage. Sounds easy, right? Well... no. Both A60 and A120 will appear with almost no warning. No flickering lights, just the quiet sound of them approaching. You've got to be careful not to make too much noise and drown out the sounds they're making. Both your footsteps and the sound of you smacking your flashlight to make it work will easily overpower the quiet rumbling of these entities, but they're far from the worst. A90 requires you to have lightning fast reaction times. It will appear somewhere on your screen, and less than a second later, you're attacked. If you so much as move an inch or look around, you can consider yourself dead. This guy is brutal. You can escape the rooms after door 200, but it goes on to 1,000, and every time you die, you have to go through the process of unlocking the skeleton door at room 60 all over again. Not to mention, you can't use revives in the rooms, and things like your candle or crucifix do not work here. This is a massive challenge for only the most dedicated to conquer. A lot of people probably think I'm going to say that this is an unfair challenge, but you know what? I think it's perfectly fine. It isn't unfair, it's just unforgiving. This isn't unheard of in the gaming scene. There are games out there that literally exist to make you mad. They're known as rage games.
I love shaming humans for their inferiority.
If the devs were going for a real challenge, then I'd say they've done a great job. Now, all that being said, I have heard a lot of people say the end reward just isn't worth it. According to the wiki, it's a scanner item that you bring back with you into the regular Doors game. It both gives you a clearer view of dark rooms and shows you where important items are like keys and switches, but you lose it if you die or don't preserve it in a rift. While I can't say for certain if this really is as lame a reward as people say, it does seem a bit weird that you wouldn't be able to keep it permanently. 1,000 doors is no small ask. I think that once a player has made it to the end of the rooms, they should be able to keep their reward for use in future runs, or at the very least present it to the players who've earned it in the pre-run shop. All that being said, pretty much everything else about the rooms is really worth praising. It's a worthy challenge for someone who is not me. I'm sure there's something in this update that I haven't talked about here because there was a lot to cover here. A massive round of applause to the Doors development team for taking a great game and making it even better. And thanks to you, viewer, for watching this far into the video. Seeing as you're here, I take it you enjoyed it, so as you're leaving, it'd be greatly appreciated if you could leave a like on the video. And if you're interested in seeing more, you can check out the first Doors video I made, or subscribe so you don't miss my future upload. I've been Skit, thank you for hanging out with me. Stay safe out there.
Please, let me out!